Ian, where's the hairspray? Thanks very much. Thanks very much for giving me a few minutes, just a little break in your program. And I'm going to take this opportunity just to tell you what we're doing with the JCDA, why we're doing it, where we've got to, and of course, as an apprentice panhandler, I'm going to ask something of you at the end. In a sentence, what we're doing with the JCDA is we're transforming it from being historically a publication, and we're turning it into a clinical decision support system. It's going to take a long time. We're doing it on a staged basis, incremental approach. And why are we doing that? It's interesting, a colleague, a senior staff colleague in a provincial dental association told me a few years ago that John O'Keefe is well respected, that the JCDA is well respected, and that the JCDA is linked to my name. But somehow it was out there, it was somehow divorced from the CDA. Around that time, the Provincial Dental Association set the blueprint for the new CDA. And when the presidents and CEOs came together, they asked for lots of things. And they asked for three things that are particularly germane to my professional life. They asked us to examine root and branch, our publication strategy. They asked us to examine our website strategy. And they asked us to give serious consideration to becoming a paperless provider. And at the same time, the provincial dental associations were saying, CDA, you can have touch with individual dentists on clinical and scientific affairs, and you can have a JCDA. So we went out and we talked and listened to an awful lot of people, and we asked, what's the future of the JCDA? What are we doing? Why are we doing it? And we convened panels of dentists, and we actually sat down and listened to them. And the most important things that they told us are, hey, there's tons of information out there, lots of it coming to us from commercial sources. But what we're missing is useful information, packaged and contextualized and delivered where it's needed, when it's needed, and how it's needed. So they said there is a knowledge organization task to be done, and we want a friendly front end on that knowledge. And then we asked them, well, is there a place for CDA doing that? And they said yes. If CDA does it, if JCDA does it, it will, in our eyes, have a certain cachet and a certain credibility. So, in this, the opportunity was given to us by the provincial associations to really ask ourselves what we were doing and why. And the dentists told us there was a new place for us, a new JCDA. So we listened very, very carefully, and we created a plan, a 4-phase plan. And we went back to the dentists again. And we said, you've told us to organize knowledge in a certain way. What type of knowledge do you need? What's useful knowledge for you? What formats do you want the knowledge delivered in? How do you want it delivered? And we used a metaphor to divide up knowledge into two types. We called it lean forward knowledge and lean back knowledge. And lean forward knowledge is knowledge you need on the run, in the heat of battle, in the clinic. I said, what do you need in the heat of battle? And they said, information about medical conditions that have an impact on dental treatment, prescription drugs that have an impact on dental treatment, medical emergencies, dental emergencies, and pathologies. We see lesions in the mouth from time to time. Help us to get from a set of observations to a differential diagnosis, so that we can assure the patient and give good information to the specialist. But above all, they told us, we're starved for time. The material has to come to us in a particular type of package. You know, I know that lesion is on page 632 in that textbook that's in the top shelf in my private office. But they said, get it to me, get it to my fingertips. And they've told us what's priority, where we should start, because we recognize this is a big project. So we've started with the idea of creating a thing we're going to call OASIS. It's an acronym, Online Advice Searchable Information System. And there's two components to it. And I think of it as it's like a dog and a cat. The dog, Dental Office Google. So it's a searchable database of information that's at the fingertips for the heat of battle. And conversations about treatment is the cat. Many of you have study clubs. You discuss cases. Practitioners ask specialists questions, and they discuss them. And what we would like to do is engage study clubs and other communities of knowledge exchange around the country to engage with us and let many people looking over their shoulders as they're holding conversations about treatment. Big project. Where are we going to be at the end of 2012? And now I can get myself in big trouble by saying, staking my reputation on something. By the end of this year, we will have concise information, useful at the point of patient care, about the top 85 medical conditions that have an impact on dental treatment, the top 250 drugs that have an impact on dental treatment, about 110 dental emergencies, and how to handle those on an emergent basis. And we'll have information about the top 10 medical emergencies that could plausibly arise in the Canadian Dental Office. This is phase one of the OASIS project. We hope to have this done by the end of the year. And as I look out over this group, I see an awful lot of people that are helping us with this project already. Ian talked earlier on the importance in dealing with journalists of having relationships with people. Your friends don't hurt you. And the project we're on is about content, clinical content, we've been given that, but it's about community, it's about relationships. And my ask of you is to be engaged with us in helping us to create a community around clinical content. We're looking for people who suggest topics to us, who tell us their clinical decision support needs, who will draft information, who will review information, who will be part of expert panels to answer questions that practitioners have. The project is central to the new CDA, and associations are about community and content and purpose. And the JCDA is a little microcosm of the new CDA. And so I took very much to heart that person who told me the JCDA is respected, but is somehow divorced from the CDA. I think it's terribly, terribly important that any project of any association fits the goals of that organization and is not somehow divergent or divorced from that. There's a lot of discussion in the medical world about, unbiased medical association journals, that sort of stuff, and editorial freedom. What I really care about is supporting my colleagues in their everyday clinical decision practice, everyday clinical decision making. And I believe that the prestige of the JCDA in the future will be conferred by colleagues who find it useful rather than other organizations who give us an impact factor or some other measure of prestige. In today's Google world, when anybody can have global reach immediately, the only things the JCDA has going for it, and I hope that I can nail my colors to the mast on this, it's our name, and with the credibility connoted with that, and our relationships with you and the people you touch. And so my ask again of you is to be involved with us, toe in the water, incremental approach, and tell the world about us, and help us to build a resource for Canadian dentists and the patients we serve. Thanks very much.